afternoon, everyone. It's so good to have you back in Recovery in Action. And we have some special guests today, and it's so good to have them. We have Laura and Brad Kellett, and they're from Freedom Reigns Ministry. And we're just excited to hear about their testimonies and everything that they're doing in their community. And again, as I tell you so many times, we're here to offer you hope. We're here to show you that there is hope. And the couple that I have here today is just a prime example of what God can do in your life, and just what recovery will do in your life, and everything that you need, the resources. We're here to help you in any way that we can. And I'm Sharon Cranfield, of course, and I'm from the House of Ruth, and we are a recovery home for women who are 18 years of age and older. And in the home, we offer a lot of hope. We offer meetings, resources, any way that we can help women get back on their feet and have a fresh start, getting their families back, helping restore education, anything that we can do that will help women regain their life. That's what we do, and that's what we promote. And there is hope out there, and House of Ruth has so many successes, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. I'm glad, I'm honored that God chose me to help these women, and I thoroughly love each and every one of them. And on upcoming events, I just wanted to let you know that on October the 29th, the House of Ruth is having their main fundraiser, and it's called the Royal Ball. We're looking for corporate sponsors, or anyone who would like to sponsor the event is welcome to do so. And if you want to contact me at any time at the House of Ruth at 825-3333, or you can contact me on my cell phone at 265-7875. It's a big event. It helps us fund 100% of the proceeds goes to the House of Ruth to help in operations, in paying the bills, and any needs that the women have, but 100% of the proceeds goes to the House of Ruth. And then I have a great event that's coming up on September 9th and 10th. It's a Friday and Saturday, and it's the Brookville Town Park on Fairfield Avenue in Brookville. And that's Brookville, Indiana, and there will be an awesome event, and everyone is welcome. It's called Hope Over Heroin. It's from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and again, it's September 9th and 10th. And the Hope Over Heroin, it's not just for the addicted. It's for those grieving the loss of loved one that's in addiction. There's going to be a memorial walk on Saturday, September the 10th at 5:30 to honor the lives that we've lost to addiction. And if you want to include your loved ones in this walk, you have to visit the links, and they want you to send a photo with that too. And it's you can go to Hope Over Heroin, and it will, on their Facebook page, it's just Hope Over Heroin. Look it up on Facebook and go to the Brookville 2016 Facebook page, and it gives you all the information, the web links, anything that you need to do to contact them. But they're asking people from this area to put in their photos so that you can be a part of that memorial walk. There's going to be free food, music. It's going to be quite eventful, and the House of Ruth is setting up a booth there, and there's going to be all kinds of resources, information, testimonies. It's just going to be a great evening both nights. And again, the walk is at 5:30 on Saturday, and it starts at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. both days. You can sign up to volunteer at Hope Over Heroin by going to www.hopeoverheroin.com. So if you want to volunteer at that event also, you are welcome to do so. And now I want to introduce to you Brad and Laura Kellett, and I'm so happy to have them here today. And Brad and Laura have a ministry. It's called Freedom Reigns Ministry, and we're going to let them tell you a little bit about that. Brad actually works at the Lake County Community Corrections, and I just want him and Laura both to kind of give you their testimony on how heroin, drugs, prescription drugs has affected their lives, but how they have overcame the situation. And that's what we want to talk about today. So welcome, Brad and Laura.
Thanks for having us.
It's good to have you here, and I know you had a long drive.
Yes.
We were just sitting here talking about that, and we're just honored that you took the time out to even come and be with us today. And I just want to tell you, it's a great opportunity to meet you. And today, you're actually going to get to go into our Fayette County Jail.
Yep.
And you're going to, and Laura's speaking with the women of the House of Ruth. And it's just exciting when people can put faces and testimonies with people, and they know that if you've overcame, that they can overcome too.
That's right.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, and just take your liberty here. I want to hear all about it.
All right. Well, I grew up in suburbs of Chicago, northwest suburbs, northwest side of Chicago, and my parents had got divorced at a young age. I think I was like 4 or 5 when they got divorced, and when I look back at it now, I could see a lot of the anger and resentment from them getting divorced and my dad leaving, because it came down to a lot of broken promises, a lot of lies. And I don't think that he really meant to do it. I think he was trying to do the best that he could with what he knew how.
Yeah.
But it still affected me, in a bad way, because I harbored a lot of anger towards my dad, because it would be a lot of times, I'll come get you and your sister, and then not show up. So I started getting high at a young age at 11. It was the first time I ever got high, smoking weed, drinking, things like that, and it progressed really fast for me. By the time I was in junior high, 7th and 8th grade, I was eating acid, doing cocaine, and high school rolls around, it's mushrooms, still acid, and then my junior year was the first time I ever tried heroin. And for me, at first, I really didn't know what it was. I was at a so-called friend's house.
Oh, yeah.
And, I thought it was coke at first, and I did a line of it and went to work, and it's like, man, wow, that was great. And then the next day, the same thing, and finally it came out that it was heroin. And after doing it for 4 or 5 days, I had already started getting sick when I didn't have it. So at the time, didn't really see a big harm in it, because, okay, all I had to do was get some more to not feel...
So you didn't feel sick.
Right. So, but at 17 was the first time I did it. And then that was the first time I got arrested also at 17 on the west side of Chicago, trying to buy some dope out there. And 17 years old, going into Cook County Jail wasn't a fun time.
No.
So it was, I think I sat in there for like a week, and then my mom had actually bailed me out. She borrowed the money from my uncle to bail me out of jail. And it didn't stop. As soon as I got home, I was making calls to try and go get high again. And that happened.
And that was at 17?
At 17, yeah. And that happened, 12 times from 17 to 26. Getting arrested, going to jail. As soon as I get out of jail, I'm going right to the dope spot to go get high. Mm-hmm. And, there was a void that I kept trying to shove the heroin into and drugs into. Because like I said, it wasn't just heroin, but over a period of time, everything else, it didn't make me feel like the heroin did. So eventually I stopped smoking weed, I stopped doing coke, and it was just all about the heroin. And what started out to be fun soon became a vicious cycle of having to steal even though I was working, and not being sick. And actually the bond money that my mom borrowed from my uncle to get me out of jail, she was saving, and she kept putting it in her pillowcase, trying to hide it from me in an envelope. Well, I had found it one day, and it was like, okay, well, $20 isn't going to hurt, I'll take that. Then the next time it was, okay, well, $50 won't hurt, and then $100, and eventually I went to it and took the whole envelope. So all the money that she was saving to pay him back for bonding me out, I ended up stealing and spending on heroin.
Using it, yeah.
So, they said 17 to 26, I was arrested 13 times. You know, and I think we met when I was 24.
Probably around then.
Around that, 23, 24 was when Laura and I met, and she didn't know I was using heroin at the time, and you know, kind of hid it from her for a while. Then eventually she caught on, and it wasn't soon after that that my demon became hers.
Her demon, yeah.
You know, and I know she struggled a little bit with pills and prescriptions and that, but
So you really didn't use drugs?
Oh, I
Like
did.
that.
I'm a little bit older than Brad, so my crowd was like alcohol, cocaine. I had been in a couple very abusive relationships. The last one involved drugs, and that was like prescription pills and crack cocaine and cocaine. And so yeah, I mean, I had addictions. I
Right,
had just
but
never
just-
known anyone that did heroin before. But yeah, like he said, it started to become a problem because I knew he was hiding something from me. So when he kind of finally came clean with it, it was kind of like, okay, well, let me try it. And it
And
took
you
off
know,
from
in,
there.
in both of your cases, because, and this is one thing that I tell people, people just don't wake up one day and think, oh, I think I'll be an addict
No.
today.
Right.
There were circumstances, there were situations, like you said, you were angry at your father, you had been let down, you felt rejected,
Yep.
you were in abusive situations. Sometimes people use drugs as a coping mechanism.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it right? No. But is it life? Yes, it happens. And that's one of those things, and this is a prime example, of how people do get started. But in the end, they don't have to
Yes.
stay that way.
Right.
So,
right.
And we're really lucky. I mean, we're here, we're still alive, we're still breathing, and every day it's kind of like, why me, God? Why did you save me when so many others have died and for doing less than what we were doing? And so we have to look at that as like, that's a blessing, and there's a purpose for us here.
right.
And I got arrested. I believe I got arrested, and I was out in Lake County Jail. He was still out and doing what he was doing, and he soon got arrested too. And I got a letter from him that he was in jail, and it was for attempted murder because he was stealing from a store and ended up stabbing a guy. And but that all got like reduced, and he only had like a 2.5-year sentence. I mean, it was a huge blessing. I'll let you tell that. But in Kimbrough Center, where he works, is Lake County Corrections. I was placed there instead of going to prison. It had just opened for women, so it was kind of like the timing was perfect. Like if I had been arrested 2 months before or 2 months after, I may not have made it into there.
It's all God's timing.
Yeah.
God's timing.
it.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, everybody in there was just so like perfectly placed in my life to minister to me. And there was a woman, Del McCafferty, who is like a spiritual mother to me, and her husband, Paul McCafferty. And she was going into that facility to do Bible studies. And I didn't know Jesus. And I mean, I believed there was a God. I believed that what I was doing wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I knew that much. But she came in, and there was just the Jesus in her. I just was drawn to him immediately, and I was like, that is what I want. What she has is what I want. And she had a similar story, not as bad, I guess you could say, but she had a period of time where she had done drugs. And so I just heard her testimony. It was like, oh my gosh, there's hope for people like me, you know?
Yes.
And so that's just what we want to do with our ministry is to let people know that, in and out of jail, that's not a life. Like there's another side to that. There's another side to addiction, and you can be free from it, and it can be wonderful,
And there's people that genuinely care.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think when people get into addiction and that lifestyle becomes so familiar to them that when people really care, they almost think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I have people ask me all the time, why do you do that? Why do you, because I care and I know there's hope. I know there's
Yeah.
hope. I don't have to say, well, I wonder or hopefully there is. I know there's hope. And but I think it becomes unfamiliar because when people are in addiction, it's people that don't know addiction. They're around someone that is in addiction. There's such a friction there,
Well,
and such a
they don't understand it if they haven't
Yeah,
been through it.
if
You know,
they haven't
there's a
been through
fear
it.
of it because you don't know really what that person is dealing with or how to go
Yeah.
about approaching them
Yep.
or handling them. You know, it's sensitive.
And
You know?
really, like for me, I was not a good person. I stole from
Yeah.
everybody and anybody. I mean,
Anywhere we could.
yeah. So I mean, they have every right to feel.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And every step of the way, I hated it, and I didn't. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing. But you know, it's a demon, and it kind of takes you over.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, the only way to get free from that was accepting Jesus.
Yeah.
You know.
And when and it is a choice. The first time we do something, it's a choice. But it's like you said, 4 or 5 days is all it took.
That's
And
it.
it's not a choice anymore.
Right.
You're not driving the drug is driving
Right.
you.
Right.
And that's when you have to have help. And I think that's people's hardest part is they always say, I got this. No.
No, it's got
This
you.
has you.
Yep.
You don't have it. And I talk with a lot of people and they'll say, I've got this. I'm telling you, I've got it. No, if you had it, you wouldn't be sitting in front of me.
Right.
And you, or you wouldn't be going to jail, or you
Right.
wouldn't be arrested. You don't have this. It has you.
Right. And
Right.
I look back and there's so many times that I sat there and said, I got this, I can handle it, I can get
Oh,
through
yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
in and out of detox and rehabs and halfway houses, and it'd be good for a little bit, but there was always still harboring that emotion, that anger, that hatred, and resentment, really, because it wasn't even just towards my dad for me, but I have a sister that's 3 years older. So my mom was a single parent trying to raise the two of us, and she had to work 2 and 3 jobs to try and support us also. So there was resentment towards her for not being there, although she was just trying to support us, you know what I mean? And I mean, she was always there supporting, sports she always went to. I had uncles around me that kind of tried to step in and be that father figure role, but it's still just not the same
Not the same.
as your biological father. And, for me, it was suppressing all of that anger and all that hatred and all that resentment and the feelings of being rejected or not loved. And eventually, after doing the drugs for so long, you just become so numb and you become so physically addicted, all you care about is not feeling like that.
Yeah.
So you go out.
Want to feel.
Right, you go out and you steal, and I mean, I've robbed people, I've robbed houses, I've kicked doors, I've done a lot of things to try and support this habit that I'm not proud of. But I also feel that if I didn't go down the path that I went down, and God didn't chase me down from where He chased me down from, I wouldn't be able to do what He's asking me to
What
do
He's
today.
called you to do, absolutely.
So I mean, throughout the addiction, 13 arrests in 9 years, Laura getting involved in the addiction with me, my demon, taking over and jumping on her too, and it really was a blessing when she got sentenced to the work release center. Because like I said, at that point, she had got saved, and I think it was right before she got sentenced over there, I got arrested for the attempted murder and was sitting in Cook County Jail. And she had started writing me letters while I'm sitting in jail waiting to get sentenced, telling me I figured it out. I finally found that thing that's
We've been
going to
looking
fill
for.
that void, that thing we've been looking for, trying to stuff these drugs and drinking and partying in. And she's like, it's Jesus.
What was your reaction?
Well, and I've said this over and over again, but it's 100% truth. When I wrote a letter back to her, I said, "So you're going to be a Bible thumper, huh?"
Yeah.
But here's the thing: in that moment, she didn't stop sending letters with scripture and talking about Jesus. She kept on and kept on. And through that, it made me realize, man, she's not going back to the lifestyle we used to live. So now I have nothing in common with my wife.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to start reading this book, the Bible, and so I have
What
something.
is it she's talking about?
Right, so I have something to have a conversation with her about.
Yeah.
And, you know, just from there, God really started doing a work in me, and I know He did a work in her because it's just Him chasing me down and praying, and my sentence getting dropped from an attempted murder to an aggravated battery. It went from a Class X, a 6 to 30-year sentence, to a 2 to 5 year sentence. And I got sentenced at 5 years on it, but I did 2.5 years in prison in Illinois. And, you know, the judge went against what the prosecutor recommended for a sentence for me. The prosecutor did not want to come off the attempted murder charge. They offered me one sentence, 8 years at 85%. The judge said, well, I don't see intent to kill, so I'm going to offer you 5 years at 50% on an aggravated battery. And I truly believe that's only by God divinely intervening and touching his heart, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because it would have been a long time, and, you know, through that, you know, I've been saved, I think it's been 7 years now. But I think I matured in it so quickly because I had so much time to sit down and spend with them. Mm-hmm. You know, am I perfect? Gosh, no.
Right.
Absolutely
no.
not.
Me neither. No way.
Neither.
Is life perfect? No.
Yeah.
You know, but here's the thing Christ told us. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to have trials and tribulations, but be of great joy because I've overcome the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where our hope needs to continue to sit in, and our belief and our faith is that through Him overcoming the world and overcoming the beating and being nailed on the cross and being, you know, raised again, that when He took that on the cross, He took that as us and for us.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's where our hope needs to continue to be. And, you know, I know with the work release, like Laura was talking about, when she got out, she had been asked to come back and give her testimony. Mm-hmm. I was still on parole at the time, and I went back with her to kind of support her because she was like, you know, a little nervous about it. Well, when we got there, she introduced me to the top 3 administrators. Told them a little bit about my story, and they were like, well, do you want to speak tonight too? So we both gave our testimony. And before I could walk out of there, they approached me and told me, if you want a job, give us your resume.
Wow.
Knowing,
Still on parole.
knowing I'm still on parole, knowing what I just got out of prison for.
Yeah.
So 6 months after I got off parole, I went and I started calling them. Went and did an interview. I got hired in as an officer. I think it was two weeks, maybe a week after my 1 year anniversary there, I got promoted to a supervisor. So now, when I'm there on Fridays and Saturdays, I'm the highest administrator in the building, so I'm running the work release as a 3-time felon. Because it's not just the aggravated battery I got convicted of. I've been convicted of theft 2 other times also. So I have 3 felonies on my background. I'm running a correctional facility with my background. But the thing about them is, and it's really cool, is the executive director and the director of operations and the residential manager is, they're not just about talking the talk. They want to walk it. They don't want to see people reoffend.
Right.
Even though they're running a correctional facility, they want to help them. They want to see them do better and not come back. So I think on our staff right now, I think we have 8 or 9 ex-offenders, ex-felons that are officers.
That's awesome.
I'm the only supervisor there, but I mean, we have that passion, we have that compassion for people and wanting to help. And
well, I know when you were saying that, because this is what, and you know this as well as I do, and when you were talking about the people, you know, like you're an ex-offender, and they're finding out, so in so many programs, it's peer-to-peer, I have the ladies at the house, they'll say, different people come in and they'll have their degrees and they'll have this or they'll have that. And they're like, man, they don't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
And I'll say, no, come on, let's, give them a chance here. And the people, they'll come in and their mouth will drop to their chest. I mean, I said, I do better than Jerry Springer at the House of Ruth. I mean, I hear stories, that is just unbelievable. That's true. Mm-hmm. And people want someone that says, man, I got your back. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can help you. Let me tell you what I've been through and what Jesus did for me. Come on, I'll help you. Here's some hope.
Yep, and I think that's really, one of the big reasons I think that we've been called into ministries, because there's things that people can tell us, and probably 99.9% of it is not going to shock us.
We've probably done it.
Because we've probably done it, if not once, multiple times. But there's that understanding, there's that connection, and we both kind of, Laura with the women is there's such a connection because there's so much that she's been through, and then, the guys they look at me and they're like, well, how can a guy of this physical stature be talking about how he loves Jesus? I think it kind of throws a curveball to him.
Or if a tear or something comes
Right.
there, it's like, what are you crying for? And it's that there's something happens. Everybody's like, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong. It's that overwhelming love that we're not used to.
Yep, and it's undeniable.
I mean, it's undeniable. I mean, look at your life. Look at both of your lives, and now you have a child. I mean, you're a father, and there's so many things that that God just sets us up for.
Have changed, and we're transformed. We were, homeless on the street. We would be walking the streets of the west side of Chicago, stealing, getting our dope. I mean, that's all we did. We, stolen from our parents, so we'd been kicked out of there and burned every bridge. And then, we accepted Jesus, and he transformed our lives. And yes, at first, these, the people I'm speaking of maybe didn't believe it. But after a while, God has restored all of those relationships.
Restored them,
Thank God, before my mom passed away, she saw that I was okay. Our relationship was restored with my father. My kids weren't living with me anymore because we were pretty much on the street. Mm-hmm. We've got our kids back. We have a child now and a home of our own, and great jobs, and it's a transformed life. It really is.
Yes, it is. And that's just what God does.
Yeah.
And he's in that restoration, reforming,
That's it.
Restoring, deliverance. He's all about
There's
it.
never anything too broken that he can't fix.
And and that's one thing I tell the women, because people talk about brokenness, if it isn't broken, it can't be fixed.
Right.
And he delights in taking the brokenness and putting it back together. And when the Bible talks about, he's the potter or the clay, he has to mold us. And sometimes you got to get broken down. Is it easy? Is it good? No way. But it's so worth it when he gets done with us. And you guys you're just such an inspiration. We've got about a minute. What would you say to the people of this community that is hurting? We have a lot of them out there. What would you say to them? Take about 30 seconds or less and just tell us what you think.
Well,
speak to them.
The hope's in Christ, that's all it is. There's nothing we can do on our own to take ourselves out of these areas or out of these situations that we've been put into. The enemy is here to steal, kill, and destroy, and Christ came that you might have life and have life more abundantly. He wants to set you free, he wants to heal you, he wants to deliver you, and he wants to use you to glorify him, to proclaim what he's done in your life. Just like when Jesus walked the earth, he hung out with the lowest of the low and the worst of the worst, and he's the one that brought them up so he could be glorified. So turn your heart over to God, cry out to Christ, and allow him to come in and move in your heart and work in your life.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.